Trump slams non-tariff cheating in a detailed 8-point Easter warning. US President Donald Trump used Easter Sunday to issue a stern economic warning, releasing an 8-point list accusing America's global trading partners of non-tariff cheating. The charge sheet alleged that foreign governments were manipulating trade rules that seek to destroy their relations with the US. In a post on his social media platform Truth Social, Trump wrote, "These non-tariff barriers are just as bad as tariffs, may be worse. Tariff barriers are just as bad as tariffs, may be worse." The warning follows Trump's recent announcement of a 90-day suspension on his trade tariff plan for all nations except China. Trump's 8-point non-tariff list. The list outlines practices that Trump claims distort trade and harm American competitiveness. The first point in the list includes currency manipulation, where countries allegedly devalue their currency to boost exports. Another warning is regarding use of value-added taxes, which are often levied on imports but rebated on exports. Trump argues such policies unfairly disadvantage US goods in global markets. The list further flags issues such as export and other government subsidies, dumping products below cost, protective agricultural standards, and violations of intellectual property through counterfeiting and piracy. Trump also criticized the use of transshipment to evade tariffs. The US President also revived a controversial claim first made in 2018 about Japan's bowling ball test, while warning of protective technical standards. Trump alleged that Japan uses a so-called bowling ball test to block American car makers from entering its market. He claimed that a bowling ball is dropped from a height of 20 feet onto a car's hood, and if it dents the vehicle is disqualified from sale, a practice he described as horrible. Trump's 90-day pause on trade tariffs. On April 9, Trump announced a 90-day pause on his broad tariff regime for all countries barring China. Trump said that more than 75 countries, including India, had engaged in talks and chosen not to retaliate, which prompted the temporary suspension of tariffs. A baseline reciprocal tariff rate of 10% would still apply during the pause period, said Trump. Tariff war between US and China. The renewed US-China trade war began in early February 2025 when Trump reinstated a 10% tariff on all Chinese imports and imposed an additional 10% tariffs in March. In a swift response, Beijing imposed retaliatory duties on key American exports. On April 2nd, what Trump declared as a Liberation Day, the US imposed an additional 34% tariffs on all Chinese imports, bringing the total tariffs to 54%. China responded with equal tariffs on US imports, suspended purchases of key American agricultural products, and blacklisted 27 US firms. Tensions quickly escalated on April 9 as the US raised tariffs on Chinese goods to 104%, prompting China to counter with 84% tariffs. A day later, Trump hiked the tariff rate on Chinese imports to 125% while announcing a 90-day pause period for other countries. Citing China's conduct, Trump declared, "Given the lack of respect China has shown to global markets, I am raising tariffs on Chinese goods. Sooner or later, China will realize that exploiting the US and others is no longer viable. They want a deal. They just haven't figured out how to approach it. President Xi is a proud leader and they will eventually find a way." Despite the mounting tensions, Trump expressed optimism that both nations could eventually reach an agreement to end the ongoing trade war. Trump mixes Easter greetings with political attacks. While wishing Americans a happy Easter on April 20th, Trump called out former US President Joe Biden, the left judges, and law enforcement officials, accusing them of enabling crime and weakening the nation's security. Sleepy Joe Biden purposefully allowed millions of criminals to enter our country, totally unvetted and unchecked, through an open borders policy that will go down in history as the single most calamitous act ever perpetrated upon America, Trump posted on Truth Social. He was by far our worst and most incompetent president, a man who had absolutely no idea what he was doing. But to him and to the person that ran and manipulated the auto pen, perhaps our real president, and to all of the people who cheated in 2000 in the 2020 presidential election in order to get this highly destructive moron elected, I wish you, with great love, sincerity, and affection, a very happy Easter, he added. The US president struck a more traditional note in a follow-up post stating, Melania and I would like to wish everyone a very happy Easter, whether you are heading out to church or watching service from home. May this day be full of peace and joy for all who celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He is risen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you everyone. Bye.